Hello, everybody. The full Ruby. We're watching Ruby. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you might notice I'm at a bit of an angle here right now. There's pretty much a reason for that at the moment, because it's kind of appropriate for this episode that we be at a Dutch angle, because that's like 30% of this entire episode is shot like that. It's like Battlefield Earth up in here. So,
So our gang of heroes is gonna go. Last episode, Leo over there called them all over. It
yep,
was like, "Hey, we got huntsman for you."
yeah,
Yeah,
this is totally not a trap. And then Ozpin and Crow are immediately like, "So this is a trap, right?" Oh, yeah, this is a
yeah.
trap.
Let's bring our weapons.
Let's walk right into the trap and not try and set up any kind of counter ambush or anything like that.
Yep, we have more people than they know that we have. Let's not use them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. Oh, well. Oh well is going to be a phrase I'm going to use a lot from now on for Ruby, I think. So, yeah, they go into the meeting, and Leo's like, hey, there's more of you.
And you all brought your weapons. It's like, yeah, we're huntsmen.
We
Oh,
always bring our weapons. It's kind of our thing. Uh, then short conversation that doesn't really lead anywhere. Like, let's set up the thing you said you had huntsman for us, and how's the thing with the council? And Yang notices there's a raven in the room. Immediately calls it out. To their credit, it's like, oh, that's yeah, okay.
mom. Oh, shoot.
And then Crow immediately turns and shoots her. Again, to their credit, that's absolutely the right reaction. They got that right for once.
Yeah.
I mean,
Raven
yeah, they got that
comes
right.
down and Raven comes down. It's like, you could have hit me. Don't miss, brother.
Mm,
And
yeah.
then she goes on about her stupidness and opens
Right.
up a portal.
She's like, Leo did the smart thing. Well, what any sane person will do is what she actually said, but I just really want to harp on that whole thing about her calling herself smart. So she says, like, he assessed the situation, took in all the information, and he made a choice. A
Yeah,
stupid choice is what.
he's been leaking information for a long time.
Yeah, so he's the one that gave up all of the huntsmen and huntresses of Mistral and the ones that Crow was searching for in a previous episode.
He got Cinder and her group into Vale for the Vital Festival.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's basically been working for the bad guys for a while now.
It's also possible he was the one that gave up Amber, the uh, Fall Maiden.
Yeah, that's probably also the case.
Yeah. So Ruby at this point decides to try and give a motivational speech about how we can achieve anything if we all work together.
Mm.
That's a song from something, I forget. It just suddenly came to me. But it's basically the thrust of her speech, and she holds out her hand. And everyone's like, you're like your mum.
She opens a
I
portal.
hated your mum. Opens a portal.
Yeah. Opens a portal, and this part I had to rewatch like 5 times just to see. The fireball hits Ruby, and Ruby just goes straight back in probably one of the worst animated shots of the entire show.
I did not notice that. But
I had to
worst
go back and
animated in the
double
entire
check
show is a bit of a stretch, given some of the
because
other
it's just like
things.
she just goes straight back as if they just dragged her back. It is just so awful. Uh,
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then everyone strolls out, and Crow is shouting for everyone to stay calm over and over again for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why he keeps saying that, but he does. Like, what about the situation tells him that this whole scenario is not going to escalate to violence? I don't understand. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we have it was Cinder, it was Emerald, it was Mercury, and the Vernal, right? She has a stupid name that also means spring. Yeah.
And Hazel's shutting the doors now and locking them. Uh, and nobody gets in or out. We're planting charges and stuff.
Yep. Oh, we do get at the very beginning of the episode, we get a significant shot of Ruby looking at the tower, which I presume is the CCT for
Hmm.
the Mistral,
Hmm.
and that's what the White Fang are outside planting charges on under Adam's
Yeah.
direction.
That quick cut to them planting charges is comical because they planted like hundreds of red glowing charges within 2 feet of each other
Yeah, a little bit. They're
everywhere.
like stepped, even just sort of going
That's not how
like they
you
intend to
plant
climb them
charges.
afterwards.
That's not how you plant charges. You plant them at structural weak
At
points.
the base, so the entire thing just comes down and smashes. That's how it works. You don't need to
Like,
put them all along the sides of the walls.
how does nobody see that? How does nobody see that? It's ridiculous.
Well, it's Adam. He's a fucking moron.
I know. I know.
But yeah.
I had like an all caps in my notes. That's not how you plant charges on a school, Adam. How does nobody see them?
I wonder what happened to Lieutenant Snakeface. Adam's
Yeah,
number two
probably
with the weird, not
nothing.
Russian accent. I don't know.
Um, they all proceed to pair off,
Oh, they don't
and their
yet. That
various.
you're jumping the gun a little
All
bit.
right. Okay.
Uh, so, Cinder talks about something I forget, and John is like goes into a freak out. He's like, "Hey, how can you?" I'm taking the piss, and I shouldn't because
How
this was
can you
actually
be so? How can you be so broken that you just will laugh when you hurt people?
it's actually a
And you-
pretty solidly delivered speech,
Yeah.
which is a problem because a pretty big theme for this season is the writing being terrible and it being only made better by the fact that the voice actors deliver on nothing, essentially, and just make it better just by the sheer weight of their ability. So, yeah. But, like I say, well delivered speech, and the tear tracks and the animation on the face is pretty good.
Yeah. I was surprised. It was a genuine moment of good animation.
Yeah. And Cinder's response to this spiel is, "Who are you again?"
Yeah. And
Sound effect in the background. It's good.
yeah.
Which is actually pretty fair as a reaction because I don't know if she met him at any point in the show. I don't think she has.
Yeah. Not really.
So, granted.
So they all proceed to pair off in their fights. John goes after Cinder. Emerald stops Ruby from intervening, so it's Ruby versus Emerald. Mercury and Yang have their rematch.
They don't
Which
actually
I
do anything
find-
for the rest of the entire episode, I don't think.
They don't do anything. Mercury's lines are great, though.
I
So
need to apologize for my leg.
it's just like, yay! You're actually the fun character in this scene.
Yeah, he's usually the fun character in a really dark way. So,
Yeah. Crow goes against Raven.
naturally, and they have a bit of a thing. How dare you attack family? And
I want to
We're
quote
not
Raven
family.
right here. Here's a quote from Raven. Sometimes family disappoints you like that. Yep, Raven. Yep, you do.
yeah, all right. And we have who was? Oh yeah, Ruby was fighting Emerald. It was Weiss against
White
Vern.
goes against Vernal alone, which seems like a really bad idea
Well, yeah, we'll get
to
to
put
that.
her against the maiden alone.
But if memory serves,
Meanwhile-
Raven basically tells Vernal not to bother with using her superpowers because it'd be a waste or something.
Yeah.
So it's not really Weiss against a maiden, it's Weiss against Vernal, the
Mm,
bandit flunky. Um,
yeah. And then Ren and Nora decide to double team Hazel.
which is a special kind of decision where Hazel's literally just standing there, not doing anything, just kind of looking at the doors, not even looking at the fight. And these two run up and say, "Hey, we're going to fight you." And he's like, "I don't want to fight you." And like, "We don't care, we're going to fight you anyway." I was like, "Okay, if you really insist." If he's just sort of not doing anything, why not help in one of the other fights?
See, that's what I was going to bring up was that they could have sent, maybe Ren or Nora could have helped Weiss, and then somebody could have helped Jean against Cinder, you know. But instead, they decided to pick a fight with Hazel, who's really not doing anything and has no desire to fight.
It's a weird character. Like, Nora I can kind of get that she likes to fight and stuff. Also, she had a moment earlier where she's like, "Oh, it really is magic with the Raven thing." Why did they make us stupid? I don't know why they made us stupid. But
Because somebody has to be, apparently.
um, yeah, but them just picking that fight is entirely pointless and serves no purpose other than we
And
wanted another fight in this already very, very crowded fight scene.
crowded and convoluted in a way where we don't get to see all of these fights.
No, because we actually missed one because there is also Oscar
Yeah,
against Lionheart.
I was about to get into that. Yeah, uh, kid beats up old man with cane. Is that
Yeah.
fight?
So, hang on, let me think. Cinder, Emerald, Mercury, Vernal, Raven, Lionheart, and Hazel. That's 7 fights in this one scene.
In this one small area, like relatively small for 7 fights to be taking place.
The idea that they wanted these fights to be paired off is ludicrous. Like, there is no way that would be manageable without every fight just turning it into a wild melee. It would just happen after not very long at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Ozpin, Oscar, whatever, who cares? Just sort of
It's
slowly,
Oscar. What?
yeah, Oscar slowly marches up to Lionheart, and Lionheart's like, "Go away, you're nothing, nobody,
Mm-hmm.
go away." I said, "Go away," and he pulls out the. I like the idea for this
Shield.
guy's weapon.
Like,
It's like Weiss's dust casting weapon, only it's a shield, it's a shield. So it's like he's straight up mage character. Is this
it's
guy?
the coward's way to fight with a shield that shoots things, so you don't have to get out from hiding behind your shield.
Makes sense. Kind of appropriate.
Yeah, it's
Also,
actually really good for his character.
I like the way it works. Like it, from the way it looked, it looks like he combines different colors of dust to make different spells. So it's like the Magicka system from
Yeah,
Magicka, and that's actually
like
pretty cool as an idea.
yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. And then Oscar proceeds to fight against him, and he realizes that Ozpin, and he's
It's literally just him whacking him with a stick over and over again.
yeah,
It is the least interesting fight in this entire scene, and we focus on it for the most time.
it's actually pretty well animated though,
Mm.
at the very least. And then he's like, "Wait, you haven't fully assimilated yet. I know. If I bring you into Salem, she will finally be satisfied with me, and I'll be free." Ha 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 ha! Oh, come on! I'm gonna beat up a little kid.
Yeah, I have to assume that the idea behind this character is he is so paralyzed by fear he is incapable of rational thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because the entire culmination of this plot is his school gets destroyed, his seat of power he is unseated from, and he expects to come out of this okay. Basically, using up all of his usefulness in one fell swoop, and he expects to walk away from it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this guy does not think. Literally incapable of thinking. It's the only explanation I have, because he should know better on every level, considering who he is. So,
but moving on to the fight you want to see of Cinder versus Jean.
uh,
Can't
it,
remember if there's anything else
there are a
that
lot of very
matters.
short cuts of different fights, and it's like, I think the one, no, that's a bit later, but Cinder and Jean have a very brief scuffle where Cinder is winning, essentially, and Jean is like, stop mocking me and take this seriously or something.
Yeah.
And Cinder's like, okay, fire sword.
Cinder's like, I remember you now.
You're the one that doesn't know when he's out of his league or something along those
Yeah.
lines.
And she goes with the fire sword, and her and Jean proceed to run at each other. And then Ruby activates her silver eyes because she remembers Pyrrha.
Yeah, trauma and such, which is a bad way to learn how to use an ability, but, you know. Uh, but
I
yeah, she uses it briefly, and then she gets knocked out from behind by Emerald. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Someone knocks her
And
out.
then,
Could have been anyone.
yeah, it's Emerald. And then John has a perfect clean hit. He can land on her, but misses.
Well, not quite misses. Well, for one thing, we get confirmation that the reason she's weak to the silver eye thing is because of the grim in her hand, because
Yeah.
that's what she clutches when the silver eye thing goes off. So, you know, word of guarded. So, yay. And John takes a shot, and it goes to the eye, but it looks like it's sort of like a stone or something covering it, or has replaced that section of her face. So it just kind of chips off. So I don't know. It's a little weird. I don't quite know what that's supposed to mean, but that's probably intentional.
And I'll get in. I had some problems with the whole organization of this last part of the episode. So she gets up. She's mad. She's real angry. Kind of beats him down real
Yeah,
easily.
I'm just going to stop us here because we're about to skip a bit.
Oh,
We get a bit more focus on Vernal and Weiss's fight scene, which is where a lot of the Dutch angles come in, of just at foot level, looking up into the distance, and then she zooms away. They use that shot like 6 times. They have, for some reason, they have like a wide shot of that fight that lasts for like 6 seconds, which is like, it's step 1 for how to ruin all of the momentum of a fight scene, is just completely zoom out so you can see the whole thing so it loses all momentum.
yeah.
So, yeah. Weiss is getting her ass kicked. She puts up an ice wall and tries to summon the knight, and Vernal just basically cuts it in half. Gets up to Weiss and lasers her, from what it looked like. I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
But it breaks her aura, is the important bit to take away from that. And then we get back to Cinder and John.
And she's stepping on him. She's like, "You're just a failure with a death wish." And Jean's like, "If I die buying time for everyone else, then it's good." And I'm like, "This is what?"
A lot of excuses are getting made for this whole thing in the comments. I regret ever looking at the comments for RWBY episodes now, because, oh god, it's painful. But yeah. So, I think this is supposed to be like, hey, you remember that bit where he looked really emotional and everything at the beginning of the fight, and he rushed in, like, foolishly, attacking the most dangerous target? That was intentional.
No, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "Oh, buying time. Okay, well, let's see how you like this." She then proceeds to walk past her unconscious enemy who just used her Silver Eyes ability, walks right past her.
The biggest threat to her in the entire room, even unconscious.
Yep, who is down right now and would not be able to dodge anything you throw at her. She then proceeds to throw a javelin of fire at Weiss. It's it's really stupid. Weiss goes down. It's dramatic. We see that she got hit in the side though, so it's not fatal
No, she got hit.
necessarily.
Yeah, people have analyzed the angle. It's probably fine. Uh, and then she sort of just on her knees, tips forward, and the episode cuts out. I feel like that would have been more impactful if the screen goes black and then you just hear a thump. But that's
Yeah,
just
I
me.
was I was waiting for a thump,
Yep.
but no. So
Fight choreographer. Get one.
please, please.
Like, I don't want to keep harping on losing Monty. I read a thing uh, over the break. Uh, Shane Newville, I think, or something like that was. It was basically Monty's number two for animation, um, and he was kind of creepily obsessed with Monty, to be honest. But the way he explained how they worked was basically they would not do storyboards for anything. They would just make stuff and make it cool, which tells me that Monty was basically a savant when it comes to animation and choreography. He was very, very, very good at it, to the point where if anyone else tried to use that method, it wouldn't really work very well.
Mhm.
So, losing him was a really, really big blow, and they needed to find some way to make up for that. They needed a proper fight choreographer. Yeah, do storyboards because not everyone is Monty. Not everyone can work completely from their own thoughts. But you need to make up the gap with proper choreography and someone to outline, okay, this is going to happen, 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 this is going to happen because this is happening, this is going to happen because that happened. So not having that just means everything ends up either confused or so rigid that it seems like nothing is even happening.
Yeah. And like even beyond the fight choreography, I have a problem with when Ruby uses her silver eyes. I get that it's supposed to be a trauma thing, but John's not losing the fight at that point. He's just running towards Cinder. And I feel like that comes way too early into this encounter because it stops everyone else's fight for like a full minute. And
Sorry, I just remembered another shot earlier in the episode where I think it was uh God, was it Raven and Crow just getting into their fight, and you see in the background, just kind of standing there for a good 30 seconds, is Weiss, literally just standing there
mhm.
in the shot,
By
doing
the way,
nothing.
in all these shots, we don't see a single bit of Hazel, Ren, and Nora's fight in the
Of
background
course
or
we don't.
anything at
There are
all.
7 fights going on in one episode. Of course we don't see all of them. Why
We
put.
don't.
Well,
You see, that's the thing. You put them all in the same room, you expect to see them in the background or something. But even though we saw Emerald and Ruby in the background in one shot, we saw Weiss in the background in another shot, we didn't see Hazel, Ren, and Nora in any of the background shots. Not even once. Um, and here's the thing about the whole Silver Eyes deal.
mm,
I feel like if Cinder had put somebody into a position where it looked like they were going to die, that would make more sense. Ruby would activate the Silver Eyes. But that doesn't happen, really. Not when she activates her Silver Eyes. It's just John and Cinder running at each other. And I thought, what could make this more interesting? We'd reorganize this whole episode, have it so that maybe she attacks and really injures, say, Yang, for example. Yang just came back. Is Raven is right there, and Ruby who had just gotten her big sister back and had just made up with her, to have her injured in some way, other than, say, example, Weiss, and then to have Yang pull through out of that later on, would show, Yang is grown more as a character.
I think at this point they don't want to give up on the Yang getting beaten again and again and again, because...
But, why Weiss? Why Weiss? What's the reasoning for Weiss?
Presumably because she was the most weakened, which... Also, another good point. Vernal she breaks Weiss's aura, and then the next time we see Weiss, she is just lying on the ground completely alone. And then she's getting up. I don't understand what happened in that fight. I don't understand what happened in most of these fights.
Yeah. And I feel like just injuring Weiss like that, it doesn't make much sense to me from a writing standpoint. Because, the reason why I brought up Yang, I know they don't want to keep making Yang lose, but Raven's right there. And maybe that could spark something in Raven. Or maybe that could be a better trigger for the Silver Eyes than just seeing Jean and Cinder running at each other.
That was a little... I'll be honest. Just reshuffling a couple of things in this would actually work pretty well. They established that Emerald has whip, gun, sword things, I don't fucking know. But chains used to stop Ruby's movement. That works. Okay. So, Emerald immobilizes Ruby for a second. And during this, Cinder gets her bright idea to attack Weiss. Okay. Ruby has basically been immobile trying to find her way out of this and has seen Weiss's aura shatter. Okay. So, Weiss is incredibly vulnerable and Cinder's about to attack her. And throws the thing. And then Ruby goes, ah! And Cinder goes down for a second, clutching the hand, naturally. But it doesn't stop the thing from hitting Weiss. Because of course it doesn't.
Yeah. That works much better. You could reorganize this episode in several different ways, I think, and it would still be better than what we got. And
3 more episodes.
Yeah. And I just thought, remember when John had a crush on Weiss? And so he gets all torn up when she gets hit? Weiss and John haven't had a single conversation together since the gang got back together.
You remember how Cinder was very slowly and casually walking away from Jean and threw the sword at Weiss, and it took about 8 to 10 seconds for her to do so? And Jean was entirely not immobilized in any way, shape, or form because he gets up onto his knees at the very least to shout no, but doesn't actually move to do anything. Or shout a warning to anyone else that is still fighting and still able to fight to say, hey, she's about to attack Weiss, you should probably do something. No? Nothing? Just shouting no? Okay.
Just trying to imagine the choreography of the fight in my head. Crow and Raven would be having their encounter between Weiss and Cinder. So
What
Crow.
happened to Crow's bad luck thing exactly?
Well, I guess it worked because Weiss got hit.
It affects
Ooh.
everyone. It's indiscriminate. They would
I
affect the
know.
bad guys too.
I know. Let's just forget. That's too complicated to think about.
Sorry,
Let's
that
just
plot
forget.
element was too inconvenient for this fight scene, so we're ignoring it.
Yeah,
Even though it
we're
was made
not.
such a big deal in the previous season.
Yeah, yeah. Bye.
It's fucking lazy.
Don't
So,
worry. Blake's gonna teleport across the continent with her friends to stop Adam on the outside while her team is battling the bad guys on the inside.
yeah, this is the point where the whole time inconsistency thing is going to bite them in the arse a little bit, because that is exactly what's going to happen, and it's going to look like they teleported across 2 continents to do so.
Yep.
Because, yeah, they didn't establish at any point the timeline for these events.
Boy, things are looking up.
Casual mention of the date. That would be something. Who am I kidding? 3 episodes left, and we're going to stop doing this show because it's not worth it anymore. I have gone from this, it's not going to be the finale like season 6 is going to be, but maybe they'll pick up the pace and actually do something worthwhile with this. To, God, I hope they try and bring us back from the brink, because this is really getting depressing how bad they're doing with this. And now it's just like, they're not going to recover from this.
Like, we are past the point of story collapse. And so it's only going to get, like, we're seeing what happens when you push past the point of story collapse and keep on going. And it's.
I don't think I've seen the quality of a show drop so hard in anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, another joyful exploration of the wonderful writing and animation and voice acting. Well, the voice acting is pretty good. And fight choreography and plot and character development and establishment and progression of the series that is RWBY. It's always a delight for everyone involved.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Zero. I am entirely at fault for you having to go through this.
Why wouldn't you go for Ruby when she's on the ground? You have. Why? She just used her silver eyes.
So that's this episode. Sorry it's a couple days late. Zero was at a wedding. We'll be back next week with another one. And don't all of us just look forward to that, especially the people that watch it and dislike the video because we don't like the show anymore. Sorry.
Sorry, but that's unfortunately where this is going. Yeah. Mercury was still good.
Yeah, Mercury's pretty good. Joan did some good voice acting. So, Miles Luna, you are still a very good voice actor.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.